The St. Tammany Parish Coroner calls our prior reporting on his office a hit piece and says a concerned citizen group and a former employee are trying to undermine his office.
Those comments came in a recent radio interview where Charles Preston claimed his office is making a profit on outside autopsies despite documents obtained by Fox 8 that appear to show a loss. Here's our latest investigation.
There's probably no more transparent, open and honest agency in St. Tammany Parish than the coroner's office.
St. Tammany Parish Coroner Charles Preston went on a North Shore radio station, The Lake 94.7, and slammed our series of stories about his office. Preston took aim at our reporting, as well as the group Concerned Citizens of St. Tammany Parish and its member Terry King, whose information helped lead to the guilty plea of former coroner Peter Galvin. King supplied us with information on Preston.
And so Lee Zurik worked very closely with Terry King to misrepresent information, continues to take sources of questionable validity.
In April, we aired an investigation that showed the coroner's office lost money on autopsies done for other parishes. Essentially, St. Tammany taxpayers were subsidizing autopsies in Livingston, Washington, and St. Bernard parishes.
As I just told you, because we've made $1.3 million in profit.
During an on-camera interview in April, Preston told us his office didn't lose money, but made a profit on those autopsies from other parishes. We wanted proof.
If you're able to quote a number, that means you have to have some document readily available that shows how you came up with that you could provide us in a day.
Perhaps.
So you'll get it to us.
I'm going to say I'll have it to you within 2 weeks, and if you get it in a day, then you'll say,
why does it take 2 weeks to get that? The public records law technically only allows 5 days. Do you want us to file a public records request today, and we'll just hopefully get it by the end of the week, unless you don't want to follow the law?
That again is up to you. You could ask me the question, which you did. I gave you an answer.
Yeah, but I want to see backup documentation that shows
And so, since you didn't ask for it in advance, because you couldn't have possibly known, because you didn't know you were going to go down this line of questioning that, was the coroner actually losing money by doing autopsies,
I didn't know,
or did they make overall?
I didn't know that you were going to say it's a profit for you, so I want to see the backup
You really
documentation.
thought that it was going to be a loss? You really thought
I had
that we
no
were going to
idea.
run?
That's why I asked the question.
Okay, well, now you know.
But when Preston sent us documents he said were proof, it turns out his statement that he made a profit appeared inaccurate and misleading. That's because the $1.3 million was not a profit, but the revenue generated by the outside autopsies. Remember, profit is revenue minus expenses. The $1.3 million is only the revenue taken in from each parish. St. Tammany charged $900 per autopsy. The $1.3 million number didn't factor in the St. Tammany coroner's expenses to complete the autopsies from other parishes. Records show the office had to hire employees, including a second forensic pathologist at a salary around $150,000 a year to do this work. Still, on the radio, Preston doubled down, once again saying that St. Tammany profited from the outside autopsies.
Over the entire period of time, we made over $1.3 million in profit. That information was supplied to Lee Zurik before his first hit piece, and yet, of course, he ignored that and tried to mislead the public that the coroner's office is losing money on autopsies. Overall, we made money.
But the only information the coroner supplied us is this document showing $1.3 million in revenue, not profit, something Preston ignored in this radio interview. In fact, since we started asking questions, Preston stopped doing autopsies for all but one parish, St. Bernard, and has raised his rate from $900 to $1,500 for each autopsy.
Terry King has been really kind of stalking me in the coroner's office and trying to paint us like we're some sort of organization of corrupt politicians. And, of course, he has a Lee Zurik on speed dial. So it really appears, the sort of conspiracy among this so-called good government group really involves Lee Zurik, Terry King, our former chief pathologist, Dr. DeFada, who, in violation of his contract, is now working at Jefferson Parish. I have to tell you that I'm happy to have that kind of bad blood out of the office.
Preston is talking about his former chief pathologist, Michael DeFada. In April, we asked Preston why he dismissed DeFada from his office.
Why isn't Dr. DeFada work here anymore?
Because Dr. DeFada has apparently violated a cybersecurity protocol, and when he was presented with that information, he resigned.
One former coroner employee told us the alleged cybersecurity protocol violation was rewinding the office's security camera to look at videos of Deputy Coroner Robert Sigolito's treatment of a dog he was trying to train. Here's the video. Some workers were concerned Sigolito was hurting the dog by using a leash to pull the dog off the ground by its neck as punishment.
He hung the dog several times, and so many people were so upset about it, they started videoing it. And they say after they let one of our doctors go because he looked at the video, and he rewound it and looked at it because he wanted to see what was going on, where he got fired for that.
So they fired Dr. DeFada over the dog video?
Well, fired him or forced him to leave.
Because that video got out?
Correct.
Preston didn't address this in his radio interview, but said his office has done nothing wrong, and went on to say our reporting and the St. Tammany Citizens Group spread false information.
But ultimately, this comes down to, there's a group of folks who like to wrap themselves in a mantle, but it's really individuals, Terry King, Lee Zurik, Gary Leonard, and Rick Franzo, who have been working really behind the scenes, unfortunately, with my former chief deputy pathologist, Dr. Michael DeFada, to try and constantly leak inappropriate but potentially inflammatory information.
Preston has been the St. Tammany Parish Coroner since 2014. He says he'll decide next week whether to run for re-election this fall. In a press release issued today, he says, quote, "I will decide on August 10th, the final day of qualifying, whether to seek a third full term. If a physician I believe can handle the varied and diverse demands of this office chooses to run, I will not qualify."